The hour grows late, and the shadows lengthen beyond their natural bounds. 18 entries I have spoken, each a memory the world tried to bury. Through the tales that seep from pages older than memory, we have walked together through corridors of the forgotten. Tonight is different. The unholy chronicle lies before me, but its pages refuse to turn. For the first time since I became its voice, since I surrendered myself to be its vessel of remembrance, it offers no tale to tell. Instead, something else waits in my study. Something that should not be here, in this place between moments, this sanctuary where time no longer flows. A mirror, and in its surface, I see a face I do not recognize, yet it speaks with my voice. Come closer, dear listeners. The 19th tale begins not with ink upon parchment, but with reflections that remember more than they should. The study remains unchanged, twilight eternal, ink forever wet, time bent to the chronicle's will. Yet tonight, even time stirs uneasily. The unholy chronicle rests upon my desk, its 7 locks gleaming like watching eyes. 6 have opened over our journey together, each releasing truths the world had buried. Now only the 7th remains, the final seal, the deepest secret. And yet the chronicle will not speak. I place my hand upon its cover, feeling the familiar pulse beneath the leather. That steady heartbeat of accumulated memories, of stories too dangerous to be told, yet too important to die. Always it has whispered to me, guided my voice, shown me which forgotten horrors must be spoken into the light. Tonight, there is only silence. Where the chronicle should be offering its nightly revelation, something else waits. The mirror stands where no mirror has ever been, leaning against the bookshelf, as if it has always belonged in this place the chronicle remembers only because the world forgot it. Its frame is tarnished silver, wrought in patterns that hurt to perceive directly. The surface within catches no reflection of my candles, no glimpse of this timeless study. Instead, it shows a different room, a different time, and a different man who wears my face but bears a name I have not spoken in centuries. The reflection turns toward me, and when it speaks, the voice is mine, yet older, heavier with sorrows that predate my service to the chronicle. Hello, Elias. Or do you still remember that other name, the one written in ash at Black Hollow? The reflection steps closer to the mirror's surface, and I see details that make my eternal composure falter. The clothes are different, simpler, more human. The face bears lines of worry and joy that mine no longer can. And the eyes remember sunlight. You traded your name to save the chronicle. But names, dear keeper, are not so easily discarded. They leave impressions. I try to speak, to offer the measured cadence that has served me through 18 tales, but the words catch in my throat like thorns. Who? I begin, then stop. The question feels dangerous. Who am I? I am the memory the chronicle could not erase. I am the part of you that still remembers Black Hollow, not as the place where Elias Nocturne was born, but as the place where Elias Blackwood died. The name hits like a blow, not heard, but felt, like something carved into bone, waiting to be traced in blood. Blackwood, I whisper, and the word tastes of smoke and endings. The chronicle had been abandoned. The others before you had opened 6 locks and fled. It needed a keeper, and you were the only one who asked nothing for himself. The mirror's surface ripples like water, and through it I see fragments of a life I had forgotten I lived. A young man kneeling in the ashes of Blackwood Manor, weeping over a family that fire had claimed. His hands shake as he pulls a strange book from beneath the collapsed foundation, a tome that pulses with its own heartbeat. "Please," he whispers to the Chronicle. "They're gone. Everything I was died with them. But you remember things that must not be lost. Let me serve that. Let me become that." The Chronicle's pages flutter without wind, and words appear. "To become the keeper, you must surrender who you were." "Yes," the young man breathes. "Let Elias Blackwood die here. Let only the keeper remain." And the Chronicle grants his wish. The vision fades, leaving me staring at my reflection across the impossible distance between who I was and who I became. But even the Chronicle cannot erase everything. Memory, true memory, finds ways to endure. And I am what endures of you. The study around me feels less solid suddenly. The candles flicker despite the absence of wind. The Chronicle's locks rattle like chains. "Why now?" I whisper. "Because the final lock holds what even the Chronicle feared to keep, your reason. Not pain, not duty, but love." The reflection gestures towards the Chronicle, and I see what I had missed. The seventh lock is glowing, not with the steady light of the others when they opened, but with a pulsing radiance like a dying star. The glass fractures, not from pressure, but from truth. Behind every crack, a heartbeat. Mine. Not the steady pulse of the Chronicle that has sustained me all these years, but the wild, passionate rhythm of a human heart that still remembers what it means to care about something more than duty. "The seventh lock," I breathe, understanding flooding through me. It doesn't contain a story the world forgot. It contains the part of you that still loves the Chronicle not as a master, but as a trust. The part that chose this fate not from despair, but from hope. The cracks in the mirror leak now, not blood, but ink that flows like liquid starlight, forming words across my desk. E.B. for love of memory, E.N. for duty to the forgotten E, for the choice that bridges both. The Chronicle shudders on my desk, its pages turning of their own accord. Instead of showing me stories from the world beyond, it reveals pages I have never seen, pages that chronicle my own transformation. And there, on the final page, new words begin to appear. The seventh lock opens not with a key, but with remembrance. I look up at my reflection, and for the first time since that night at Black Hollow, I see my own face clearly. Not the ageless mask of the keeper, but the features of a man who chose love over oblivion. "What happens if I choose to remember?" I ask. "Then you become what the Chronicle was always missing, one who remembers, not because he must, but because he loves what was lost." The mirror explodes into fragments of light and memory, each shard containing a different moment from the life I had traded away. But instead of pain, I feel completion. The final lock opens with a sound like a sigh long withheld. The mirror is gone, dear listeners. Only light remains. Warm, gentle light that fills my timeless study with something I had forgotten existed. Hope. I am still the Chronicle's keeper. I will still serve as the voice of the forgotten, the guardian of memories too precious to lose. But I am no longer merely the vessel of its will. I am Elias, born in fire, remembered in ink, no longer a mask, no longer a myth, just remembered. The 7 locks are open, but the final truth is this: some memories were never meant to fade. One tale remains, dear listeners, one final whisper from the Unholy Chronicle, and when it is told, well, that choice, like all the most important choices, remains unwritten. Until then, when we discover together what lies beyond the final page.